Leaders of social protests in Israel are calling for people to bolster demonstrations all across the country. Over the last month, up to 300,000 people in Tel Aviv have been demanding cheaper housing and social justice. But as RT's Paula Slier reports, there are outsiders in the Jewish state fighting a much tougher battle.
The protest might be next door to where Philemon lives, but it's going to make little difference to his life. He's a refugee from Eritrea, one of thousands who's found his way to Israel. But the solace he was hoping for has instead been replaced by anger and frustration at a government he believes is doing too little to help him.
We are living here in the park.
The Israelis here demand cheaper houses. Good for them. At least they have houses. But we have nothing. We haven't even got a roof over our heads, let alone an expensive one.
But it's not only cheaper houses that these protesters want. They're demanding a new government, one that will charge less taxes, provide free education and cancel privatization of state-owned companies. Changes that the poorest neighborhoods of Tel Aviv need the most. But ironically, people here are not demonstrating. While thousands of Israelis might be able to pitch up here in protest, many immigrants can't even afford to buy a tent to live in.
People are not sleeping here necessarily every night, but it's a symbol. The tents here are a symbol for the difficulty to pay rent, for the economical situation in Israel. And like you say, next to us, people are sleeping there not because they choose to put their tent outside, it's just because they don't have any other place to go.
In the last few years, tens of thousands of refugees and asylum seekers have arrived in Israel, mostly from Eritrea and Sudan. The government simply doesn't know what to do with them. Most spend their days struggling to make ends meet, while trying not to be picked up by the deportation police. Many of the refugees don't want to appear on camera, but those that we've spoken to say that they don't feel a part of this demonstration and accuse it of being a protest of the privileged. Danny Peretz is Israeli. He's a builder, divorced and jobless. He's here because he blames the government for the fact that he can't pay his bills. But he also points a finger at the African migrants.
All the problems start from the people from Africa. They take all the cheap place, and then if I want to find something, I can.
It's a charge the Africans are all too familiar with.
This place we're sitting is a place where very often the extreme right wing organizes rallies against refugees. So when refugees see white people sitting, they feel that they don't belong to that place.
Which means that a protest for social justice has essentially become a protest for only a few.
If you really want to come out for better rights, you have to come out for the basic right, for the right of the refugee here in Israel.
Right here in Israel.
But for now, the rights of the refugees are the last thing on these protesters' minds. They just want a better life for themselves. Paula Slier, RT, Tel Aviv.